Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, U46 out there, Elgin Way, Amy.
It's one of the biggest school districts, right, in the state?
Yeah, and it's one of the most astoundingly financially mismanaged. If not
Worse
for
than CPS?
If not for the Chicago Public School System, we would probably spend more time talking about U46 because it has been horrifically managed for a long time. Wait till you hear the numbers, the kind of debt they've racked up. And oh, by the way, the quality of the instruction in terms of preparing children for success after high school, into college and the workforce, for those going to college and into the workforce, not exactly a model you'd want to scale at this point. Now, there were several new school board members elected last school board election, because of what I'm saying, because of families sick of the financial mismanagement and the poor performance of U46. One of those school board members is Jeanette Ward, and since she has been elevated to the school board, she's come under some controversy because she's not one afraid to speak her mind and to press against the orthodoxy, the culture in U46, dysfunctional as it is. And she has even taken heat over posting excerpts from Jason Riley. He's a Wall Street Journal editorial, former Wall Street Journal editorial board member. Jason Riley, African-American. He wrote a book about, basically liberals, leave us alone, stop helping us, you're killing us, talking about liberals and helping the African-American community.
Didn't we have him on our show?
Yeah, and she posted an excerpt from him on Facebook.
So what?
From his book, and she came under scorn, and it became this big controversy where they had to have, the community come together and discuss the racial sensitivity or the lack of racial sensitivity because she quoted from Jason Riley's book on Facebook. I mean, this is how nutty we have things at the K through 12 level. We spend a lot of time talking about the culture on the college campuses. People should pay attention to what's happening in their backyard at their local school districts. Well, now Jeanette Ward is the subject of dueling petitions, one calling for her resignation and the other supporting her and saying,
back off. Are they a little edgy there in Elgin?
Saying, you go, girl.
All right. Well, you go, girl, Jeanette.
Yeah. And Jeanette Ward, U46 school board member, joins us now. Jeanette, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on the show. Yes, indeed, there are two competing petitions at change.org if you search Jeanette Ward. One says I should resign, and the other says they stand by free speech and they support me.
Why should you resign?
Oh, because they cannot stand for someone who does not believe in global warming as a scientific fact.
Yes.
Because I refute globalization, because I deny discrimination, and I view the United States as the paragon of perfection.
But you have a right to free speech and expressing your beliefs on Twitter, on Facebook, and any social media.
No, not that kind of hate speech. Did you hear what she said? America is a model. Those are fighting words.
Oh, and my views are extreme, offensive, and detrimental to U46.
Who says that? Who says that?
That is the creators of this petition to get me to step down.
Yeah, but who are the creators? Because don't some of your colleagues on the school board, aren't they part of the lynch mob that's being assembled?
Well, I wouldn't accuse my colleagues of instigating this. This was started by students, and I'm not sure exactly at what school, but it was started by students.
U46, big school district. How, 12,000 kids?
40,000 children.
40,000. Yeah, right. 42nd biggest behind Chicago, right?
Yeah, it's the largest elected school board.
But you say it's students, but is it on the pushing or convincing of their parents to do this?
Or teachers.
Oh, or teachers.
Well, why have your views on climate change or any of these other matters even come under discussion?
Because on April 25th, I gave an 11-minute speech describing why I would not be voting for the 6 social studies textbooks that were up for a vote that night.
Ah, what was the basis of your vote against?
Well, I said that there are numerous issues with the resources, including, guess what, an overarching and pervasive politically left bias, a love affair with Karl Marx, and factual inaccuracies about Islam and Israel, global warming. It was presented as a scientific fact without the opposing view. You wouldn't believe the anti-American bias in these textbooks, anti-traditional family bias, and moral relativism, among other things.
Well, Jeanette, are other school districts using these textbooks?
Yes, I'm certain.
I mean, it doesn't make it right, but are they?
I'm certain, yes. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, but this is the whole point, is to get control of your curriculum and the books that are from which instruction is being provided. I mean, this is one of the issues with K through 12 education generally is what are we teaching our kids, right? Isn't that part of your responsibility as a school board member to provide some oversight?
Precisely. And it doesn't matter how fiscally responsibly we teach them if we're teaching them lies. They need to be taught the truth, and textbooks need to reflect that.
So,
By the way, these students plan to present this petition to me at the next board meeting, which is at 7 p.m. on May 16th at 355 East Chicago Street.
Well, that'll be
now,
nice. That'll
Jeanette,
be nice.
did you read all
You
these
should give
books?
them a T-shirt back, or actually, you know what? Give them a selection of books you think that they might consider reading. Wouldn't that be nice to do a little exchange? You give me your protest petition, and I'll give you some homework.
That would be great.
So, Jeanette, did you read these books, and do you have other alternatives in place of these if the others on the school board were to listen to you?
Well, yes, I researched the books very thoroughly. Obviously, I couldn't read them. I only had a couple of weeks to look at them. I haven't suggested alternatives because it's not really the job of the school board to recommend text. So, as oversight, we're supposed to say yay or nay on what's presented. But I do plan to do some of that in the future.
And what about the other school board members, the superintendent? What's their position in this controversy?
Well, the superintendent CEO kind of stays out of board matters rather. So he has not expressed a position.
And other school board members.
I think the vote was 5-2, I believe.
The vote was 5-2 on the social studies books,
or 4-3. I can't. It escapes me at the moment.
So that it was 4-3 to not use them, or to use them?
to implement them.
To
of
implement.
course.
Okay, so you lost that vote. But what's their position on the larger issue of trying to silence you or agitate students to circulate these petitions and the like?
Well, I believe that one board member, when I quoted Jason Riley, just sort of got the community to come out and scold me on that, obviously. But their position on this is most of them support it since it passed, of course. But they're not for silencing me.
All right. So is there certain rules where if there's a number of people who sign a petition, you'd have to be forced to step down from your position on the school board?
Certainly not. And again, these petitions are at change.org if you search for Jeanette Ward. It holds no water. It's just symbolism over substance. It's a group of student agitators trying to make a point. I mean, I'm a duly elected school board member. I was elected by close to 6,000 votes, so that there's not going to accomplish anything other than saying we don't like what you're saying.
We're not quite to the point where change.org petitions are legally binding, thank goodness.
Yes,
haven't
thank
gone
goodness.
to the plebiscite model of governance. I wonder if you could explain the financial position of U46 as well as the kind of educational outcomes from that school district, because those were a couple of the issues you ran on.
Yes, they have a $500 million budget and are close to $600 million in debt. When they issued some new bonds, I, of course, wanted to issue some new bonds. I, of course, voted against that. And as you said, they're not it's not some of the best performing district in the state, and of course, we're trying to improve that.
Do you have any ideas how to help with the budget? Because you seem pretty smart when it comes to the textbooks.
Well, with respect to the budget, I think we shouldn't be implementing new programs if we have to rely on debt to run our budget. For example, I voted against full-day kindergarten and also recently voted against the expansion of dual language.
So U46 taxpayers will like hearing that, not continue to go into debt if you can't, in order to finance new programs, particularly when the existing curriculum has not exactly been perfected per the outcomes. All right, Jeanette Ward, well, keep up the fight in U46. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
And she joined us on our Turnkey.Pro answer line.